Maybe it's money. Maybe it's fame. I personally think that it is intelligence, because the more manipulative you are, the more you get. Hi, my name is Emy Eapen and I have a theory I'd like to share. I'm pleased to be here. I'm happy. Happiness. The joy in the simple things. Till death, that is what we need most. Now, I'm sorry. I just lied to an entire audience. I thought that would be funny. Happiness isn't even close. But what is? Happiness is just a feeling like everything else. It feels good. But how did it get there? Random scenario. This scene takes place at a circus. Right? The act has just finished. The performers bow to the wild crowd. 2 from the crowd are asked to volunteer. One stands tall, not a flinch in his muscle, no hesitation in his eyes. The other one was jumpy. He was trembling. Now, in the end, both stood. But the one who was afraid won. Let me introduce you to Donnie. Now, it's important you know Donnie's name because throughout the course of all this, Donnie experienced one of the secrets to life. How did he get there? He raised his hand. That's only a result. Fear. It's odd, but fear is what started it all for Donnie. Courage and raising his hand, that was just progress. Donnie didn't like the way fear made him feel, so he stood on that rope. I get it, courage is more positive. Courage is the foundation from where you find everything else. But many people forget that it's actually fear that gives you the drive to find your self-courage. Fear is what binds meaning to average or otherwise mediocre lifestyle. Life is opportunity. Now that obviously harbors fear. And many a times we walk away from both because it ends in failure after the many years of hard work it took to get there. And we tell them, here's another opportunity, you can start over. They say, I'm happy where I am. Now you hear it. If you get a bad grade in class, right, we've all been there, you feel sad, but you decide to smile anyway because you believe in happiness. You're respectable. Now if you're at a funeral, for example, and you don't smile, you laugh because you're happy, you're a psychopath. Constant happiness is not a thing that is supposed to be in our vocabulary. We're supposed to experience everything. Now, I target fear because fear is what gives the young ones a chance to grow up. Even if they're not old enough to go to work, they've become old enough to make a decision by themselves in between all that adrenaline. Yes or no. A lot of things go unrecognized. Money goes unrecognized if you have enough. Happiness definitely goes unrecognized if you're comfortable enough. But fear, even this much, can give you a taste of life. Only when we are no longer afraid do we begin to live. Now, Dorothy Thompson makes an excellent point. So be afraid and then get rid of it as soon as possible. Allow fear to prick you in the mind every once in a while, but never let it stay and consume you. Be somewhere that terrifies you so much, but the same place wouldn't terrify you tomorrow. Now, which is the best time there is in the world. If you are alive right now, whether you're in the couch, outside an office, just got kicked out, if you're in the hospital, if somebody you know is bedridden, let's throw in all the bad stuff. Pain, rejection, humiliation, the feeling of hopelessness, of not knowing what to do, the feeling of suffocation because you're not being yourself. Your job, which is the next secret, is to live life to the fullest, even if you have just moments left, because now is a miracle, and now is something to be grateful for. You have to remember, because a lot of people don't appreciate the word miracle, think of the number 1. 400 trillion to 1. That's the chances of you being born. You are here. Those are 3 words. If you forget the number 1, think of these. $3 million is not the miracle of a lifetime. Your life is the miracle of a lifetime. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. A study was conducted to know the final regrets of dying patients, and these were the top 3 answers. Now that bothers me, because something that they all had in common was essentially that they never got to live the life they wanted to. They weren't happy where they were. Now that's a lot of things to take home for a teenager and adults too. You will feel as if you were never, well, you'll feel as if you were alive for this long but never truly lived if you're not true to yourself. Now obviously it takes an effort to stand up for who you are, and it takes an effort not to complain. If you ever feel whiny or hesitant, imagine all of that being a conversation with time. Time will be smug, arch an eyebrow, look straight at you with its burning eyes, and ask you, what are you doing? You think too much. How is that my fault? Time will never stop saying that. The world will never stop spinning. People won't suddenly stop making it harder for you. The clock couldn't care less, and neither do the todays that we spend thinking, waiting, essentially wasting. When I was younger, I actually never believed in the present. I always thought it was fictional and so easy to understand. I used to believe that everything happening were soon to be things that happened. I used to believe that every word we may so strongly say now is just forgotten and followed by the next word. That there is no living, only past tense, like a theory in my head. And then I thought about it. I stopped. Each moment specifically, each breath, each flinch of the nerve, each step we take with healthy bones is this limitless power. Yet sometimes we act like we're powerless. It dawned on me that you and I, we rarely care. We couldn't be more bored sometimes, or at least we don't acknowledge the fact that we're walking miracles. To all the mothers out there, remember the day you first held your baby? I can imagine that that was the most remarkable thing you've ever felt you've done. And you know, it's 10, maybe 15 to 20 years later, and you don't see the grown-up. Sometimes you look at your child and you see the baby. And it's overwhelmingly precious because it is your precious thing. Now, my mother was very particular when I was born. She didn't really let my cousins or relatives hold me much. It started with weeks, months. 16 years later, I'm still a hostage. I'm kidding. Parents, everyone, we do it all the time. We make mistakes. Now, for example, you would never give your precious thing to a stranger, right? That's completely out of the question. But we do. We take our precious thing, our time, and we give it to a stranger every day in hope that it will come back to us, even though you're watching it run away. Now, all you have to do is take your time back, change your mind and say, I want my precious thing back. But you hope in this stranger. This stranger is called tomorrow. You trust tomorrow with your time and you fail. Now, there's this one thing, you might not see tomorrow. Now, that's dark, that scares me. I should rather be scared of the truth than harmonize with tomorrow. You should rather be someone that looks out the window and searches for everything they could lose and risk it, rather than being the child that turns around, looks back inside at the clock and says, I have time. Those that hope, they know they have time. Those that live know that they will never have a moment more than one. Now, this moment is yours. You have to remember, hope for tomorrow is like this wet blanket. That's what fiction is. Now is your everything. Give your time to now. Now, close your eyes. Imagine with me. Keep them open if you have to. Picture this. A peaceful morning years from now. The first thing you see as you roll out of bed is this vast blue sky. No clouds, no birds, just stillness. And in a sudden, the sky, it forms a fog, followed by a sound in your ears that develops to this loud thudding at the back of your head. But it's painless. And all this time you realize you haven't been breathing. And then in a sudden flash, pitch black. Now somebody should have told you, I'm sorry, the next few moments you have are your last few moments. Life came to an end. The things that mattered, the shirt you wore yesterday, the shirt you were going to wear today, it wouldn't matter because you can't think when you're dying. You can only remember. And you can't be bothered when you're finally dead. Let's analyze those moments, shall we? That moment you saw the expansive blue. You thought of all your victories, the awakenings, the good memories. Another piece that desperately needed your attention crawled its way when you saw the fog. Now that dense gray glum represents all your regrets. At the third moment, time answered your question for you with pitch black. Now, I will never know specifically what you are going through, but you do. You have to use whatever energy is left to embrace now. As you are about to leave, let the earth beneath you shiver and let time bend when it says in truth, it was an honor. Life is this delicate road. You will never know what's ahead, and it's definitely not as long as you see it. There will always be a red line at some point. Maybe it's here, maybe it's there, but it exists. And this line represents when you descend. So, time has a question. It's always had this question. You will never see that line. So what's scaring you? Thank you.